How does a Japanese lawn close up a bare patch on its own? In the same 2 weeks it takes the average American homeowner to drive to the garden center, argue with himself in the seed aisle, and haul a $40 jug of patch mix back to the truck. Meanwhile, you have tried everything. You threw down seed and watched the birds clean up half of it. You cut in a strip of sod that browned at the seams and died inside a month. You bought the bag with the perfect lawn on the front, the one that swears it grows anywhere, and 3 weeks later the spot is still bare, with a ring of pale, wrong-colored grass around the edge that matches nothing in your yard. None of it worked because all of it was built on the same mistake. You were adding grass to a lawn that already grows its own. A healthy lawn does not get patched from a bag. It patches itself, sideways, out of the plants already living in it. The Japanese have been repairing lawns this way for centuries, with no seed and no sod, because their lawn grass does the work for them. The whole method comes down to one shift. Instead of buying new grass, you wake up the grass you already have and send it into the bare spot. Almost every patch in an American yard is not a hole that needs filling. It is grass that has never been asked to spread. Once you see that, the wall of products at the garden center looks like a very expensive way to avoid a job your own lawn would do for free. First, we will walk through the fix for every kind of patch, one at a time. The worn path, the dog spot, the thin, hungry edge along the driveway, the low scalped dip, and the dead ring left by last summer. Then I will show you the habits that make a whole lawn close ranks on its own, so the patches stop coming back. Before we go on, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We love seeing how far this story travels. And if you're loving it so far, join the family by hitting subscribe, because tomorrow we've got something special lined up just for you. Here is the piece that makes all of this possible, and almost nobody at the store will tell you, because there is nothing to sell in it. Grass spreads. Not all of it, but most of the good kinds. It runs sideways on stems called stolons and underground on stems called rhizomes, and every few inches those runners root and stand up as a brand new plant. The lawn that carpets a Japanese garden is almost always Korai Shiba, a zoysia grass, and zoysia is famous for one thing above all. It heals itself. Leave a gap, and the grass around it walks in and closes it. Your job is not to buy grass. It is to help the grass you own do what it already wants to do. Start with the most common patch of all, the bare strip worn down the middle of the yard where everyone cuts the corner to the driveway. People reseed it every spring and blame the seed. The seed is not the problem. The soil under that path has been packed down by years of feet until it is as hard as the sidewalk beside it, and a runner cannot cross packed ground any more than a seed can root in it. So loosen it first. Push a garden fork into the strip every few inches and rock it back and forth to crack the soil open without lifting it. Scatter a 1/4 inch of compost on top. Then find the longest runners in the thick grass at the edge, lay them flat across the bare soil, and pin them down every few inches with a garden staple or a bent piece of coat hanger wire. Cover each contact point with soil and water lightly. In the growing season, every pinned point roots inside about 2 weeks, and the runner becomes a row of new plants marching across the strip. Now the dog spot, the dead circle with a dark green ring around it. The center is burned out by the nitrogen and salt in the urine, and no amount of watering brings dead crowns back. But look at that dark green ring. That is the healthiest, best-fed grass in your whole yard, growing on the diluted edge of the same spot that killed the middle. You are going to borrow from it. Cut small plugs, grass, roots, soil, and all, from that ring or from any hidden corner you never look at, using a bulb planter or an old knife. Drop them into the dead center about 6 inches apart. Firm them in so the roots meet the soil and water. The plugs send runners out and meet in the middle over the next few weeks. In Japan, this is just kabuwake, dividing a healthy plant to make more of it, the same thing a gardener does with an overgrown clump of iris. It costs nothing but 10 minutes, and because the grass came from your own lawn, it matches perfectly. Nobody finds the repair a month later. For the thin, pale grass along the driveway and under the edge of the tree, the grass is not missing. It is starving, short on light and short on iron, and too weak to send a single runner anywhere. Feeding it fixes both at once. Mix a bottle of chelated iron with water and spray it across the thin area with a hose sprayer. The grass turns deep green inside 48 hours, and the fed grass finally has the strength to push runners into the bare zone beside it. If the thinness is from shade, set the mower one notch higher there so every blade catches more light. The grass tells you what it needs if you watch it. For the low dip that goes brown every time you mow, the grass is not weak and it is not diseased. The mower is scalping it, shaving the crown right off every pass because the ground sits lower than everything around it. You do not reseed a dip. You raise it. Spread a thin layer of sandy compost across the low spot, no more than half an inch at a time, and let the grass grow up through it before the next layer. Over a few weeks the dip lifts level, the mower stops scalping it, and the grass thickens on its own. Still no seed. And for the patch where the runners reach across but nothing ever roots, get down and feel it. If it is spongy and brown underneath, that is thatch, a dead mat sitting between the grass and the soil, and the runners are riding over the top of it without touching dirt. Rake it out hard with a spring tine rake until you hit real soil, then pin your runners into that. Roots need dirt, not a mattress of dead stems. Now let me say something clearly about the bag of patch mix, because the internet is full of bad advice on this one. You know the jug, seed, some dyed mulch, and a little glue, all promising a green patch in days. The mulch is sawdust-colored green, so the empty patch looks planted before anything grows. The seed is a fast, coarse grass that sprouts quicker than your lawn, so it comes in a different color and texture and stays visible for 2 full years. By next spring, the patch has thinned again, so you buy another jug. Honestly, just skip it. Your own grass, pinned or plugged, comes in matching and free. Same goes for everything else on that shelf. The rolls of sod cut down to patch a spot the size of a dinner plate. A different cultivar than your lawn, with seams that dry out and never knit. The spray on liquid lawn, which is green paint with a few seeds floating in it. The germination blankets and the grow in 3 days sprays. None of it does what a living lawn does for nothing. Quick, before we go on, tell me down in the comments what you have thrown at a bare patch this year. Seed, sod, a jug of patch mix, all of the above. And be honest, did the patch ever actually blend in, or can you still see exactly where it was? Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. Now we get to the part that actually deserves the word Japanese, and the part that explains how you fix a lawn with no seed and no sod at all. Everything up to here handles the patches you already have. What comes next is the reason a Japanese lawn almost never gets them. The lawn under a Japanese garden is not treated as a carpet replaced square by square. It is treated as one living body that heals its own wounds, and it is planted that way from the first day. When a gardener in Japan puts in a zoysia lawn, he does not roll out sod off a truck. He sets small plugs into the bare ground in a checkerboard, a hand width apart, and then he waits. 1 summer, 2 summers, and the plugs run together into a single unbroken lawn with no seams, because it was never in pieces. A plug the size of your palm can fill a square yard if you give it a season. The lawn was grown, not installed, and a lawn that grew itself in knows how to grow itself back. None of that is in the how-to videos, and none of it is on the bag at the store. But it is why zoysia meadows have carpeted shrine grounds and old estates across Japan for generations, tended with a fork, a basket of compost, and the occasional plug from a thick corner, and never once reseeded. So here are the habits that keep a whole lawn closing ranks on its own. Mow high, 3.5 to 4 inches, because a tall blade feeds a plant that spreads sideways, while a scalped blade spends its energy just staying alive and never runs. Feed the crowns gently instead of blasting the blades. A 1/4 inch of compost in spring does more than a bag of synthetic nitrogen ever will. Water deep once a week so the roots chase the moisture down and the plants are strong enough to run. Leave your clippings where they feed the lawn for free. And the one that matters most, when a patch shows up, let the lawn try to heal it before you drive to the store. 9 times out of 10 it closes on its own if you mow high and wait. There is one piece of timing that decides whether any of this works, and most people get it backwards. Grass only spreads when it is actively growing, so you repair in the growing season, not the dormant one. If your lawn is a warm season grass like zoysia, Bermuda, or St. Augustine, it runs hardest in the heat of summer, so pin your runners and set your plugs in June and July. If it is a cool season grass, the knitting happens in the cool, damp weeks of early fall. Patch a warm season lawn in cold weather and nothing moves, and you walk away sure the method failed, when really, you did it in the wrong month. A quick word on what to do when nothing seems to move at all, because there is one honest catch here. Not every grass spreads. Pull back the edge of a bare patch and look closely. If you see stems creeping sideways across the soil between the plants, you own a spreading grass, and everything in this video works. If every plant is its own separate tuft with bare dirt between them and no runners, you have a bunch-type grass, most likely tall fescue or ryegrass, and it will not spread on its own no matter what you do. That is the one case where you cannot get around some seed. Even then, the better long-term answer is to plug in zoysia and let it take the lawn over slowly, so you never buy seed again. And if plugs keep dying in one exact spot while the rest thrives, the trouble is under the soil, a buried slab, an old chemical spill, tree roots drinking every drop, or shade too deep for any grass. Fix the cause, or plant moss there, and stop fighting a war you cannot win. Let us talk costs. A pack of garden staples runs a few dollars, or nothing if you cut up a wire hanger. Compost for the top dressing is around $5 a bag, or free if you make your own. A bottle of chelated iron is about $15. The plugs come out of your own lawn, so they cost nothing. Call it $20 for the whole job, and most of that is optional. Compare that to a $40 jug of patch mix that comes in the wrong color, a pallet of sod at $200 to $500 delivered, or the cost of tearing out and reseeding the whole yard. The math is not close. And the free option, the grass already in your lawn, is the only one that matches perfectly. Here is a routine you can start this weekend. Walk the lawn and mark every bare spot, then sort them. The packed paths get the fork and a little compost. The dead centers get plugs lifted from your thickest corner and set 6 inches apart. The bare strips get the longest runners laid across them and pinned down. The pale thin areas get a spray of iron, then water everything lightly every day or two for 2 weeks while the roots take hold. By day 14, the color has turned deep green, the pinned runners have rooted and stood up, and the edges of every patch have begun to close. From there, mow high, water deep once a week, leave the clippings, and let the lawn finish the job through the season. That is the entire repair, and you never opened a bag of seed. The deeper lesson here is not really about patches or plugs or runners. It is about how you see the thing in front of you. When a lawn fails, the American reflex is to buy more lawn. Another bag, another pallet, another jug. The Japanese reflex is to help the lawn already there. A lawn is not a carpet you swap out square by square. It is one living plant that closes its own wounds when you feed it, clear what is in its way, and point it at the gap. Tend it instead of replacing it. Once you have watched a bare patch heal itself out of the grass beside it, a bag of patch seed looks as strange as buying a patch of new skin for a scrape. Your yard becomes the one on the block with no visible repairs, and your neighbors assume you reseed constantly. The truth is, you stopped buying grass, and the grass started doing the work. That's the story, for now. If you found it worth your time, subscribing and hitting the bell costs you nothing and helps more than you'd think. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.